I hope everybody's okay. I always hate to see stuff like this. What is up, peoples of YouTube? I'm the Motorcycle Nick, and today I'm making a video I wanted to make a long time ago, but either lost track or I don't know. I know it's gonna piss a lot of people off. You probably already read the title, and yeah, let's tell you why Harley is getting behind in the game. But before I get too far, if you are new to this channel, I've been watching for a very, very, very long time, hit that subscribe button down below. I upload videos every Tuesday and Thursday around 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I am currently doing 2 giveaways. First one at 500 subscribers, we're close to, is for a pair of those badass gloves. And I might be giving away a few pairs of them. For that giveaway and all the giveaways I do, you do have to be subscribed to the channel. If you are not a subscriber, you cannot win. But now that I've got my pleasantries out of the way, we're gonna jump into this like feet first. People will say that other manufacturers based in other countries are getting ahead of Harley, and it's like, you know what, it's not really the same kind of market. When you have people that like to buy American bikes, they like to buy American bikes. They like to buy American made, or should I say American assembled. You know, yeah. But just like the title up there says, I believe that Harley is getting way too complacent in their means of producing motorcycles and designs, and I have a bunch of evidence to support that. For me, I feel very unfortunate to be the one that finds this, or at least makes a video on it. I mean, if there are other videos, let me know. I want to see what they say too, and also I want to know what you think about this. So let me know down below what you guys think. If I'm right, if I'm wrong, what I'm right about. You know, remember, keep it with the information. So don't just go out there and say like Harley sucks, because you're not really contributing to anything except for your own ignorance. Going forward with my evidence, the first thing I'm going to point out is that Harley hasn't really made too many advancements in the last 20 years. And someone said they're like, well, they went from the Evos to twin cams to the Milwaukee 8 in the last 20 years. Well, that may be true, but the technology still remains pretty much the same. They don't have a water-cooled motor that can be water-cooled without having these hard lowers that go on the bike. Like mine, I can take off. I can take my hard lowers off anytime I want, but you can't because there's radiators in them. Like I said, the radiators for the coolant are in them. It's not like they could find somewhere else to stack it or put it. It's in the hard lowers, and that's the part that sucks, because then you have permanent hard lowers on your bike, and maybe you want to get that nice feel, go for a ride, and not have to deal with that. Along with that, it is the bikes that the motors go into. Yeah, they've made advancements. I'm not making this video saying that Harley hasn't made advancements, but other companies, such as like I talked about in my last video with Indian, are making motors. Are we good? Are we stopping? It's a Tahoe fire truck. So I'm not saying that Harley hasn't made advancements in this video. I'm saying that their advancements have really been small. They've been kind of coasting on what they have versus what they could be doing. I understand that there is that tradition there, but when you look at, let's say, like the Street Glide came out in, I believe, 2006. From 2006 to 2020, the Street Glide really hasn't changed in the look. Yeah, they may have done a little bit to the fairing for the 2020s, but the general look of the motorcycle hasn't changed. And I think that's a problem we run into with Harley. They make something really good and then they coast on it, or they don't really appreciate what they have going for them. Like when they built the V-Rod. The V-Rod was a motor that was built with Porsche, and it was a badass bike, but they ended, you know, 2017 they ended production to bring out the FXDR, which has the same motor as my bike does. That's also going along the lines of like with the Road Glide. They have all this technology that can be available to be able to do all this cool stuff, like monoshock systems, like improving, like having air ride standard on motorcycles. But it's always an option with Harley. Harley is the kind of company that will bring out a badass bike, but everything else that adds to that bike is always an option. But if they did bring out a bike with all the bells and whistles, like they already have, it's called a CVO. And the CVO is quite expensive. And that's where the problem with that idea is, you know, you can either buy the creme de la creme, or you can buy the lowest version of it and then add up to that. They needed to design something that can really bring out what is gonna help Harley succeed. You know, while looking at even numbers on the motorcycles, an 88 cubic inch motor put out 82 horsepower and 82 torque. I think is what the approximate power is on that. 20 plus years later, my 114 puts out realistically 112 foot-pounds of torque. There's only really a slight difference between the torque numbers. I mean, to go from 80 to 100, that's 30 torque. And just to put that into perspective, that's 30 torque that has gone up, I mean, what, 20 years, 30 torque, that's it? And this is considerably larger. But I think going back to the original problem is everything with Harley is an option. And in today's game, in today's motorcycle sales game, if someone puts out a better product for me that's from the United States, has all these options on there for a better, way better price. I mean, let's be honest, Harleys and Indians are both the price of a freaking car. So when you buy a Harley, it's not only just for comfort, or you buy an Indian not only for comfort, but it's also for you personally a status symbol. It gives you like the, you know, in your mind you're like, man, I have a Harley-Davidson or I have an Indian, the heritage that comes behind both those names. And when you go out and have a company like Indian that puts out this new 2020 Challenger that looks like a Road Glide but also has all these cool options, a better motor, and that's going back to what I was saying, Harley needs to step their motor game up, because having a bigger motor and more displacement means you should be able to get more power out of it. I think Harley feels like they can get by on a name now. The CVO models they put out are ridiculously priced. I mean, for anywhere from $42,000 to $50,000, I could buy a Harley and another car. And going back to the video I put out before, which is right here, Indian just brought out a new motorcycle that does look like the Road Glide, and it's going to compete with the Road Glide, but also it has a smaller motor that puts out more power than the CVO motorcycles, and it's going to be probably half the price. And if that does happen, they're going to be put in a far danger of being in control of the US market. Harley has changed their motors a lot. They had a single cam, the Evos, then they went to the twin cam, and then they went to the 96 twin cam. Hey, it's a cop. Then they went to the 103 twin cam, and then they have the 110s. And then you go to now, where you've got the 114s, the 107s, and the 117s. Single cam, bigger displacement, but really that displacement is there to help trying to fight the EPA restrictions so that you have a bigger motor. It's still going to put out low power because it's going to be restricted. So you still have to pay the Harley tax to be able to play with the big boys and have that power there. Even under proper tune and the right fuel and everything, all the perfect conditions, if the numbers on that Power Plus 108 are correct, it's that 117 is not going to be able to stand up to it. So why is someone going to buy a CVO Harley? And I mean, you're going to have the people that do it, but in reality, their whole process behind it is that they're going just for a status symbol. I've seen people ride CVOs, but that's few and far between. In reality, people aren't going to buy the CVO just for all the added speakers, because in the real world, the CVO is just something that has some special paint job, some better audio that's really not that different. It has the bigger motor by 3 cubic inches. It's not really helping anything, because just like you add that 117 to that motorcycle, then you add all the extra special heavy stuff, then you add Screaming Eagle parts that really don't flow the best. When you're sitting there spending all this money on a motorcycle to get that power, you could get one like a Heritage and put a 150 kit in it. I know the people that commented on one of my videos asked me, like, what about the 108 upgrades kits? Well, in reality, you can get a cheaper Harley, put a big ass motor build into it, and still be less than a CVO. And brand loyalty doesn't exist with this generation. There's other brands of motorcycles that have more power, more fun, and you got to put out something that can compete with that, because if you have that brand loyalty, then you can get bikes. But I mean, honestly, in today's world, what is brand loyalty? Like for me, I love Harleys, but if someone puts out a better version of a bike that rides better and has more power to it and feel, but they don't have that, then Indian's really stepping up their game, or Polaris Indian, whatever you want to call it, is really stepping up their game. They know they've got to try and get people away from Harleys. Nothing does sound like a Harley, but also no one's going to say that if they're the one that's in front of a Harley, because they aren't going to hear it. They're only going to hear their own exhaust as they're flying by. But Harley can change themselves. They can do better. I think they're taking a right step when they put out like the Panamera and the Street Fighter. It's a more modern motorcycle, but at the same time they have to put them out at a price that's going to be reasonable, because the problem is that the Africa Twin from Honda, is that person that buys that really going to take that Harley off-road? If the price of a Ducati Dival versus the price of a Harley Street Fighter, which look reasonably alike, they can go Harley or Ducati, the company that's made sport bikes forever, or a company that's putting out a sport bike really for the first time. And yeah, I know that Buell existed, but Buell was its own private, independently owned company until Harley purchased them. them. So it wasn't like Harley had designers designing Buells. Third thing you gotta do is create some brand loyalty. Back up the products that you make. And don't try to find ways to void warranties. You start pissing off your customer base, because what's the point of buying that motorcycle if A, they're gonna find ways to void the warranty, or B, they aren't gonna really do anything for me? And create a new customer base. Stop going for the customer that has parents or grandparents or family members that have ridden Harleys the whole time. Go for that new customer base. The Eagle Rider thing you guys are doing is not really gonna appeal to a generation. There's other companies that lease motorcycles. It's not gonna really make a difference. Oh, and make some new motors that have a lot of power. People look at numbers. That's really it is. It's a numbers game. It doesn't matter anything else. They want to see numbers. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below about Harley and all their gloriousness and what they can do to change. If you think they've gotten too complacent too, this might hurt to hear. This might be something you don't want to hear. But a wound heals faster if you give it medicine of some sort. This isn't just here to try and bash Harley, because I'm not sitting here trying to bash Harley. I'm doing this to call them out, to hold them accountable for the stuff they haven't done. And as always, I hope you have a great day, evening, night, morning, afternoon tea, brunch, lunch, nightcap, crumpet, McGriddle, and remember to always ride for freedom.
Hey, dog, this shit is old school. They say I'm not supposed to, but I make my own rules. Dog, this shit is old school. Yo, bitch, man, that's old news. She been on my whole crew. Yeah, that chick is ran through. Ha. This shit sound like old too. Pull up and I drop the roof, and that bitch a old school. These niggas acting brand